We are a podcast for product marketers and B2B SaaS who feel misunderstood of what they do.
From someone who truly gets what you do and
basically help you feel less like a misfit, being unignorable in your role.
Hello, everyone. Welcome to Season 5 premiere of We're Not Marketers. This is Zach Roberts on the mic. You know the guy. I'm going to pass it off to our two fellow co-hosts before we introduce our hot special guest. Gab, you want to take it away?
Yeah, Gab Bugeaud, Sales Deck Associate, still there for Season 5. Still do Sales Deck, guys. I'm just starting to get a bit tired of it. It's life. Passing it up back to Eric.
Yeah, what's up? Eric Holland, the Franken marketer. And as Zach said, we've got a very hot guest today, and we don't have an HR team that We're Not Marketers, so I can say that as many times as I want. So Zach, go ahead and introduce him for us.
All right. You may have seen this individual grace your LinkedIn feed, and whenever you see a post from him, you either laugh in shock and you can be like, yo, how does he do it again? This is our first guest that spells his name in all lowercase, but he's got a large personality. He's the head of marketing at the Noun project and the vibe curator of LinkedIn. We're happy to introduce Nick Power. How is it going, my friend?
So good. Zach, Gab, Eric, thanks for having me, guys. Appreciate it.
Nick, I know that your title is marketing, and this title is We're Not Marketers. And every show, we have one question that makes it to every episode. And we always let the guy with the mustache ask it. So, Gab, take us away.
Thank you. Nick, are product marketers actually marketers? Why or why not?
I love the question. I am going to say something that's probably not going to go over well in the marketing community, but I feel like very few marketers are marketers. And it's not a slight at the craft. It's the fact that product marketers, probably especially, but many marketers have really been moved into a executioner, practitioner role that is so far removed from the strategy like piece of it. And really just connecting the dots between like what is it that you're talking about and how is it relevant to the actual person that you're talking to. And I think we just get so wrapped up in like diluting or distilling a message into a character limit space or a slide deck or whatever it is that we forget like we're trying to make a connection here. And so I think it's not the fault of the job title. It's a lot of times it's the, it's the system, man. It's like the way that it's just been pushed into this like delivery, this position of delivery more than the strategy of it. So I would say if you have to say, okay, is a hot dog a sandwich or is it tomato or fruit? Yeah, I guess it's a marketer, but at the end of the day, it's not the same thing anymore. So I think we got to get back to that strategy standpoint if we're going to call ourselves marketers.
Quantity over quality. That's what I'm hearing. Was that what you mean by the current system today?
Yeah, I think it's output, it's deadlines and things like that. Like how often does a marketer get handed something and it's like, do X, Y, and Z by X, Y, and Z date. And that's the job versus go and research product market fit and then take that and make sure that this messaging distills that appropriately in the right vehicle. And then we deliver it on the right, like it's hard to find marketing roles that offer that at this point. So, and again, I don't think that's the fault of marketers or marketing as a craft. I think it's just the way that specifically the tech industry has been pushed into, I don't know, looking at marketing as a sort of a commoditized craft.
That might be one of our most insightful answers we've had out of 5 seasons. I love this. And Nick, do you have any product marketers on your team?
I don't know. I've never worked with someone with the product marketing title.
So you hate us, basically, is what I'm hearing.
I've always had to wear that hat. So I have a lot of love for you guys because I know how hard it is. And so my background, I did direct to consumer CPG stuff early in my career. And then I moved into B2B and tech like later in the last like 6-ish years. So I've seen both sides of that from product marketing and always had to wear that hat. And I've worked with some product managers, but never a product marketer. So
Nice. Super great context, I think, for all of us and anyone who wants to tune in. So, Nick, we start you off with that philosophical question from the mustache man, and then the wild guy comes in, and we've got some rapid fire questions for you. So,
okay.
basically, the game is a torture chamber where we fit you in a phone booth and we ask you a bunch of really uncomfortable questions, and you have an A answer and a B answer. There is no plead the fifth, there is no C. You have to pick one of those answers, and then we'll move on to the next one. So you can give some explanation if you feel like it, but the intention is more to just get your first reaction out of it. So are you ready?
Yeah, let's do it.
And question number one, we'll warm you up with, would you rather have every aspect of your life publicly scored and measured, or erase your digital presence completely and live without any friends or family?
Live without any friends or family. That last bit threw me. Okay, so I'm gonna go with A. If I can't live with my friends and family, I would have no problem erasing my entire digital presence, though. Like I would do that tomorrow. Like it, it's funny doing. Well, this is a rapid fire, so I won't go
No, it's
myself.
all right. You can. And a quick editor's note, I left it at erase digital presence, and I'm like, oh, that's too easy.
Yeah, I mean, like that. Like you would not have to talk me into that for that long. Like getting more attention online has been a mixed bag, and I appreciate all the relationships I've built and all the connections I've made and things like that. But there is a lot of downside to it too, and I would have no problem saying goodbye to it.
Yeah, I
Right
think
now.
we can all say the same. It would be an easy switch, right?
Yeah.
Let's tune out entirely from social. I would be down.
Oh yeah. But
Well, that
yeah,
just shows Nick's a family man instead of getting rid of your life. So that's great to know. Would you rather be able to drink espresso shots as your beverage for life, so no water, just endless espresso, or only be allowed to antagonize the billionaires on social platforms?
only be allowed to antagonize the billionaires. What was the last part of that?
On social platforms.
And do nothing else, or
No, you have the option to drink espresso for life, right? Or have no espresso ever. Or you have
oh,
the option to antagonize billionaires or not antagonize them at all.
dude, I'm doing the antagonizing billionaires for free right now. I'll do that all day.
Let's go. Let's go. I'm so excited.
I'm ready for that.
Would you rather face a screaming toddler's tantrum every morning or an angsty teenager's meltdown every night?
Teenager. Yeah, I love my kids, and I don't wish away their childhood, but it is hard to negotiate with a toddler. That's funny. You have
I
no
like the
leverage.
word. I like the verb choice. Negotiate. I got a little over a 1-year-old, so I understand that very well. Would you rather have every flight you take for the rest of your life be next to a stranger that refuses to bathe, or would you rather sit next to a billionaire that refuses to demonstrate empathy?
Man of the people. I'm gonna sit next to. I don't. Yeah, I'm gonna sit next to a stranger that doesn't bathe.
Man of the people.
Yeah, but
And we gotta get that one clipped, Zach.
if he's sitting next to a billionaire, is he sitting in economy or is he sitting in a private jet?
That's a good question.
I thought about that, but let's be real. What billionaires sit in coffee?
Yeah, that's the thing.
The only
If
reason
I'm-
why a billionaire was still in the economy is to be one with the people.
So he would be empathetic in that
So
case.
again,
right?
there still would be none of them.
Yeah.
If I'm sitting
Oh,
next to a billionaire, it means I've done something very wrong in my life. I'm on a private jet and I've slighted too many people.
that's probably true.
You need-
So would you rather only to be able to write using all caps, or would you rather to be only able to write with perfect punctuation?
Perfect punctuation. I cannot. All caps is it's too much. I can't yell at people.
I
I can,
think Zach
but I don't.
appreciates that too. Zach loves some punctuation.
Oh, I love semicolon and colon. Don't get me started. Like, but
All
it
right.
might be AI though. Heaven forbid you use perfect punctuation. It's going to be AI.
All right, so we're going to run through these last three and then get back to some more serious topics here. But Would you rather feel compelled to ask everyone you meet, "Are you okay?" and genuinely ignore everything they have to say back, or never be allowed to discuss feelings or ask about anyone's well-being ever again?
It's two sides of the same coin, right? I think the latter then, because I hate the idea of asking people how they feel and then ignoring them. But I don't know. Yeah, that's a tough one.
You can tell that I follow your posts very much,
I was
right?
gonna say that's digging deep. That was, yeah, I
But
like it.
sidebar, that is a common refrain for non-Americans that they say about Americans.
I've heard that. Yeah,
Yeah, we'll ask.
like
Oh,
yeah,
go
how you
ahead.
doing? How you doing? And then it's like, don't really care how you doing. Like basically, that's how. Yeah, I
I
know.
just needed something to say. All right, and then last one. Would you rather wake up and see the billionaires lose everything, or would you rather wake up and see an inbox of messages from people who said your post helped them heal from the tyrants?
The latter. Yeah,
Wow. I was thinking you might have picked the first. That's good. I like it.
I don't wish misfortune on anybody, even billionaires. I want people to be more accountable, including myself. And we're all trying to learn. We're all trying to figure it out. So
All right. Well, we can take you out of the torture chamber. You're a great sport, Nick. I appreciate that. And then, boys, let's get back to some product marketing talk. What do you think?
Yeah, let's do it. Nick, question for you, going back to what you said earlier. When did you realize that you weren't a marketer? When was a moment or experience that happened that you were like, yo, I'm not a marketer, man?
I think there's kind of two ways that I interpret this question, and maybe I don't know which one's more true to the answer, but one is that I think if you asked 10 marketers if they ever felt like insecure as a marketer or like they weren't a marketer, probably nine of them would say that, they've struggled with some sort of imposter syndrome as a marketer. And so I think maybe even all 10, I don't know, but I think that term marketing be so broad and cover so many different things and be so many different things to so many different people, and also like this thing that people believe anybody can do because they've digested it before, they've interacted with marketing before. I think that creates this weird pickle where you're like, am I good at my job or am I just getting lucky? Do I have this dialed or am I just getting fed the right answers? And so there's a lot of that people don't talk about because it's embarrassing. It's nerve wracking to share that stuff. But I know that people feel it because I've had those conversations dozens of times with marketers. And so I think throughout my career, I've had that like, oh, this other marketer works at a bigger brand. They've got bigger words. They've got bigger budgets. They've got bigger teams. Like, what does that make me? How do I measure up or whatever? And so I think really my whole career, I've had that feeling, and I've been in marketing 15 years, and I've done some cool stuff. Like, I'm proud of my career. It's not to say I've just been skating by or anything, but I've certainly had that imposter syndrome looming over me. I think the other side of that is like just coming to realize that the tactical pieces of marketing are a lot of it is almost like administrative stuff. And so when I realized that it was about communicating to a person and about their life and about their needs versus like this KPI that I thought they needed to hit or this selling point I needed to jam down their throat kind of thing. Like, I think that we all it's so easy, I should say, to get into the mindset of just shipping and like just sending stuff out. And so I don't know if I have like a concrete date, but I'd say like a lot of people noticed that I shifted what I was doing on LinkedIn this year. And I think that was me being like, enough is enough, dude. Like, I don't want to do, like, I'm going to be a communicator. I'm not going to be a marketer. I'm going to be a person that connects with people. And then that's how I get, my message out there. And so I think maybe this year, maybe it was a slow kind of burn that picked up over time and came through that way. But that's how I would answer it.
Nick, like, for the three marketers that are going to listen to this podcast, they're going to be saying bullshit. Like, we're marketers, we're communicators, but this shift you're explaining from, I'm not going to be a marketer, I'm going to be a communicator. dig into that a bit more. Like, what are we missing that just got into this shift today?
I think so. For me, I'll speak for myself. Like I feel like I had a little bit of blinders on in my career, like in my craft. So I was thinking about how would a marketer say this? And I'd go and look at other marketers and what they were doing. How would brand X or brand Y say this? And so there was really just this sort of version of marketing going through me, which isn't to say that I didn't have any original ideas or anything like that. I think it was always against this gut check of like, hey, does this fit within this mold of marketing in my head? And I think starting to get into a more communicator mindset was to look at like, okay, like how are writers getting their message out there? How are orators, how are public figures getting their message out there? That's all marketing too. And at this point, I think it's a semantics thing maybe, but to me, it's like if you zoom out and think about, okay, how are people digesting life, right? And like all these things that they interact with, okay, I need to go buy this B2B tool, right? What are the things that are going to motivate me to do that? I want to be seen as good at my job. I want my boss to know that I'm doing my job. I want to hit these KPIs, blah, 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 blah. But then, like, if you actually hammer in on those specific things that really will move a person to buy and not the things that you think are going to sell them on it, I think that to me is like the difference between communicating and marketing. So I don't know, maybe I don't want to speak for everybody. I think there's lots of great marketers out there, but I know that personally, like I've been in marketing 15 years. I've talked to a lot of marketers. I know that a lot of folks have that feeling too.
What you're saying resonates with me. Was there a moment when you were doing those more foundational elements of marketing that you felt like, hey, this sounds a lot or look a lot like product marketing, even if you never properly collaborated with someone with the title PMM?
Yeah. So let's see. I actually feel like a lot of my product marketing experience, like chops, came from D2C, like consumer product goods stuff. Um, because the cycle is way tighter there. Like it's not a 20-person engineering team building a piece of software. And I guess now with AI and stuff, it's probably faster. But there, I had a job at a skincare brand where I worked there for 18 months and I shipped over 50 products, like unique SKUs. And so it was making the product pages, it was designing the packaging and getting it printed, it was creating the marketing collateral, the social media stuff, it was working the PR. It was crazy. So I was doing all that stuff. And there was a B2B element too, where we had wholesale accounts and stuff like that. So it was like drinking from a fire hose. And I think that taught me a lot about what goes into a good product launch and what we need to get things out there. And not just does it resonate with an audience or anything like that, but like also like, is the barcode right? Does the barcode scan? Like that kind of stuff and all these little nitty gritty things. So I think people, and that's like maybe a good example of why my opinion of marketing is so like, is it administrative or is it communicating and marketing? Like I've had to wear a lot of hats where I make sure the barcode works, that kind of thing. So I think that, yeah, that would be my answer is like a lot of my sort of experience with product marketing came from consumer product goods. And even the role before that, it was a backpack company. We were shipping a lot of stuff and surfboard company before that. So yeah, a lot of the stuff where I was just quick turn, getting the thing out there and trying to build a message around it and get it in front of buyers as fast as possible.
And then
How large was the team when you were doing it back then? Marketing team,
At the skincare brand or at the backpack company?
just either or.
Both small, actually. So the backpack company, I had one other direct report, and then at the skincare brand, I ended up having a team of like four direct reports. So yeah.
Okay.
And then I'm curious, Nick, because like I got introduced to the Noun project at one of my previous jobs. My designer was like, "Yo, you need some icons? Go to here." And I was like, "Oh, this is
Nice.
dope." That to me feels a little bit closer to consumer than maybe like a Salesforce product.
Yeah.
How are you seeing that translation from the communication side specifically as you're seeing the consumer packaged goods to something like B2B software, which may lean a little bit closer on like the PLG side of things, as you could
Mhm.
call it? What is that? process like to you? And are you ever reaching back to some of those moments as opposed to copying other marketers?
Yeah, it's interesting. So I think with PLG, and particularly with our product, there's this interesting thing that I've seen happen where it's it feels like B2C because it's a not low ticket, but it's not like people are going to get this approved by legal and by budget most of the time to buy $100 subscription or whatever. But so broadly, like the marketing is direct to consumer, or has that feel to it. Now, the other side of that is we have large team accounts. We have an API with really big clients on it, that they're piping icons into products like Mural, stuff like
Mm-hmm.
that. And guess how those people are finding out about the brand? From designers that experienced our direct to consumer marketing. So there's this weird play here where it's like, or it's through email marketing or social media marketing or whatever, like we're working our way up the chain from the bottom up versus going straight to a CEO or a CTO a lot of times, because what they want to hear is they want to hear what the designer wants or what the creative director wants or what the tech lead on their team knows about. And so things like even Reddit forums, or like we'll hear stuff like that all the time where it's like, yeah, I heard our designer's been using your stuff for 5 or 6 years, and then we hired him, and then we brought you in. So I think, I don't know, did that answer your question? I hope I.
Yeah, for sure. And then I'm thinking to myself, how has that impacted then the more of the outbound approach for those upper level roles and job titles?
So I'll do cold outbound and stuff like that, and it that stuff's tough. Like anybody will tell you that cold outbound in 2025 is it's a grind. But at the same time, I think that, like I said, I think continuing to focus on, like, I don't know if market penetration is the right word, but basically getting the brand out there to as many designers as possible. We've seen really good results with that, and making sure that people are having good experiences with the brand on a one-to-one level before they bring it into the larger business.
The last piece you mentioned is that you said multiple hats. Like marketers, they wear multiple hats. I never hear like someone in finance say like, "Yo, I wear multiple hats,"
Yeah.
or I never hear an engineer saying like, "I wear multiple." But for whatever reason, we've massaged this word "multiple hats" as burnout in disguise. So I'm curious, like, what's your reaction to that? Like, am I off base in saying that, or what have you seen before? Like, what are you seeing?
No, I think you're on point. This is tough to say, like, and by the way, I'm extremely happy with the amount of autonomy I have in my current role. So this is not, I'm not saying it's like this everywhere, but I've sat at the table where it's like, hey, we're going to do X, Y, and Z. Go figure out how to make it work and be successful. And it's like, okay, I could tell you that it's not going to work and be successful because X, Y, and Z, but it doesn't sound like we're talking about that. And in particular with things like a like a sales motion, right? Like PLG. Okay, so some businesses should not do PLG. Like they should not do it, and it's going to totally evaporate their sales cycle when they put an enterprise customer into a PLG motion just because they landed on that page and they're like, "Oh, I just sign up for the free demo," and then they never talk to someone, and then they're like, "Yeah, that demo sucked. The free version of the product sucked, so I'm not going to use it." So I think where I'm coming from, I've been in not very niche products, is probably, it's not the right way to say it, but more like mass market products, skincare or stock photos. Like these are products that really work for PLG or free samples, things like that. And so that's my mindset, is like, how can I get a message out to a lot of people? But that's not marketing for everybody. A lot of folks have very specific fintech products that they have 60 target accounts, and that's who they're going to work on the whole year. And so I think they shouldn't listen to me and be like, that's how to do it. But yeah, I think as far as like wearing lots of hats, like to me, I don't wear that as a badge of honor. It's more like, and I love that you called out the burnout piece too. Like I think we need to get away from um, just shove it into the marketing like pile kind of thing. what I do think marketers need to be doing and held more accountable for is like, how do we communicate this thing in such a way that my grandmother could understand it, right? Like, and how could I make sure that's relatable and that it's actually something that I want to be interested in and involved in? Because too often we excuse away boring industries or boring products. And I think that, yeah, there are crappy products and there are crappy industries, like for sure. But at the end of the day, like if your job is to make something relatable and industry and interesting enough to buy it, then that's the puzzle we got to figure out. And so what I'd love to see is that we get a seat at the table earlier so that we can help craft that better. Because sometimes, like I said, it's just like, hey, here's what we're gonna go do. Go do it and make it good. And it's like, that's a tough one. So I'd like to see us get a seat at the table and get more buy-in on the, or more say, I guess, on the, is this good to begin with?
And I love that. And I think the product marketers listening will love it too, because most of our role is trying to make things super clear.
Right.
One thing that most of us aren't tasked with, and I think is something that you do really well, and that's make people feel something with their marketing. So, my question to you is how important do you really feel like that part of it is in the whole component of communicating the clarity? How does it relate to actually making you feel something as well?
Yeah, I think it's the most important thing, frankly. I think that clarity is important and that a lot of times I see people shoot themselves in the foot by doing things like too many bullet points or just like shouting too many features and things like that. Like you should be able to say in one sentence what it is that makes your product special. Um, and so, yeah, clarity is really important. And the key takeaway there, in my opinion, is not that it needs to be the most unique thing in the world. Like, I think too many people struggle with point of difference or unique value proposition in such a way that they almost push themselves into a smaller market or a smaller level of interest. Like, think about extremely saturated categories, t-shirts, right? Like, how do people sell t-shirts like in today, like, or sneakers or whatever it is? Like, there's just a billion options. So I think that trying to be the most unique product in the world is not a winning strategy. And especially with AI, like in tech, like products are going to start getting ripped off overnight. So, but like you look at the industries like CRMs or whatever, like there's just a million of them. And I think that being able to be relevant and liked and create some emotion around your brand specifically, because most people are not going to be emotional about a CRM product, but they might be brand loyal to the brand when they've had a good experience with the salesperson and with the marketing and things like that. So, and there's some good examples out there doing it. Yeah.
Would you say that's that philosophy that drove you to try something different, try a different format on LinkedIn? Because we've been following each other for a while. You were posting kick-ass meme, and then you kind of opened that kind of breach in weird LinkedIn on how people like to call it. So I'm just curious about like what was that trigger moment a little bit.
Yeah. I would be lying if I said that, changing my approach to using my own LinkedIn account was entirely driven by business objectives. Like, I think there's a very human and like developmental aspect to it where I like going back to the imposter syndrome piece. Like, I always had like this feeling that like I wanted to be able to sit in a meeting with Don Draper and be like, pitch an idea and him be like, that's a good idea. You know what I mean? And like, and I think that every marketer wants that feeling to be able to just put stuff out there and see people respond well to it and get that validation of like, yeah, I have good ideas and things like that. And so it sounds silly, but like that kind of like grind that marketers are in where they're just producing all the time and not necessarily strategizing or thinking or actually putting messages together from scratch. Like, I think that was what I was after with starting to change my messaging on LinkedIn. And if you look back, like it's funny you brought up the memes. I think there's a lot of elements of like what I write now in that stuff where it's just short form funny stuff. But Yeah, I think short answer is like a lot of it was personal and developmental, and then the other side of it, yeah, like I think if you look at the brand Noun project, we're in a very crowded industry, right? Like stock photos, and then you've got AI looming on the other side of this, where it's like, okay, there's a line in the sand between designers who are all in on AI and then designers who are not touching it because they don't like anything about it. And so figuring out what side of like how to speak to the audience that are on the side that we're most relevant to, that was a big part of it too. And I think if you look at the messaging, the stuff I'm putting out there, I think it clicks and makes sense there.
When I hear brand, candid take, when I hear brand, I think of like colors. I think about like back in the day talking to founders of being like, we have to have an impeccable brand, but it would never really say what that brand should communicate, or what was said here earlier of like how to make a person feel something. And I think that's something I personally struggle in too, as is like as not a marketer, but is really it's like really thinking about like, okay, like, hey Nick, like I'm a solo marketer too. I don't have a product marketer, but I'm expected to do everything, and I get an objective of like bring our brand alive. Like if you were to work alongside this marketer, like what guidance would you give them? What are you like? What are tips, or what does your playbook look like of how to make that happen?
Yeah. So I love that question because I think the most important thing that like when people ask me about like what are you doing on LinkedIn and what is that all how does that tie back to the business? Like it has to come from a genuine place. You can't like the idea of making someone feel something, but it doesn't actually tie into the values, the real values, not like the let's sell stuff and let's grow the company values, like the what are we in business, like why are we here values. If you cannot tie that back to real values in the business, it's going to be super performative and hollow. And so I think I'm in a very lucky place where I happen to work at a company where my values align with the business's values. I've been in situations where that's not the case, and that's really hard and it's tough. And that's a much more difficult place to be in for a marketer who wants to do a good job with this stuff. But the stuff that I'm saying broadly, and my opinions are my own, but um, lines up with the values of the business. And so I think where, and it's really more just like in marketing in general, like if you think about, okay, like we're going to go out and put a product out there and change the world. Okay, how are you going to change the world? Is it with the product or is it with what people are going to do with it? And so I think about people who are using stock photos to, save animals at a veterinary clinic or do fundraising or things like that, where it's like, okay, like what are the use cases that actually mean something to me and how do I speak to those people? So I think that and maybe that's, I guess what I'm getting to is there are some, they can be uncomfortable, but there are some important conversations to have with leadership teams, like the exec teams, where it's like, what do we stand for? Like, and I think a lot of people don't like to have those conversations. They like to be Switzerland and stay out of like values and politics and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, like those are the brands that people won't shut up about. Are the ones that actually pick a side or wear their heart on their sleeve or have some values. And I think that customers have a lot of loyalty and respect for that stuff too. So
I totally feel that, man. And I just real quick, I was actually at a company that had to make some changes amidst the political climate, and I don't really love the change that they made. And you could tell the like impact it made on their community in particular that they were building at the time. And so I totally echo that and how you put it. Like you got to stand for something and then stick with it. Don't be wishy washy at the first sign of trouble. Nick, you have just a great vibe. I like love a lot of what you put out, if not all of it. There's so many times where I'm like, what's that secret sauce? And so, do you have a process that you go through or a mental space that you get in or anything that you might be able to help say, like, this is how I get all of that secret sauce that Eric loves?
yeah, So I don't have like a strategy doc or like I don't batch my content. I wake up and I write stuff up like right off my head every single day, all day. So I think the kind of rules that I've set up for myself, and I say rules with like an asterisk because like they like right now I'm like changing what I'm doing. I think you might notice if you start looking at more stuff that I've done recently, but generally speaking, I'm trying to pack a lot in a very small amount of letters, like a very small character count. And so that's to me, a gesture of empathy towards the reader, knowing that they've got a ton of stuff going on and that there's a million other social media posts they're going to read and a million emails and things like that. And so it's not to shun long form content, but for me, like I appreciate when somebody can say something in a sentence or less. So I love trying to, it's a challenge for me. It's like a puzzle. It's like, okay, how can I fit this very big, intense thing into one small sentence? And then I think some other things I try to do, I'll like try to put a surprise into something into the sentence or like some element of like, I didn't expect that because like at the end of the day, like a lot of the time, the most underwhelming feeling is when you read something and you get to the end, you're like, I saw that coming. Like people are like, it's just like you invested the time to get the message, but there wasn't a kind of like, oh, like I didn't expect that. And it's this gift that you can give to the reader. Um, and I think the only thing I'd say is like, again, it comes back to the values. Like for me, I think people think the billionaires thing is like a joke. And like, yeah, it's funny, but like it's, I, I'm trying to sublimate like really intense feelings that I have towards like the world right now. And that I think a lot of people have that everything is not okay. Like, and that a major part of that problem or the sort of the reason that we're here is this culmination of late stage capitalism where we have like a handful of people with all the resources and the rest of us are doing work, and then we've internalized this like grind set mindset where it's like we got to keep working, we got to be efficient, and then we're like, but why, for who? And so I think, look, I'm passionate about work. Like it's not to say like I don't want to do any work, but like I think that there's this like element of you have to be on 60, 100 hours a week to be successful and stuff like that. And we've shunned it out of social media a little bit, but I think it's still there if you dig in a little bit. And I think it's important to question that, like, where's that coming from, that message, and why have we swallowed that and just accepted that's reality. So I don't know, went off the rails there, but I think,
No, that was what we wanted. That's what we want. That's so good, man. And
Yeah.
like, are you so shit's crazy, right? You're totally 100% right. And that's at work, that's outside of work. What are you doing to cope with that? What are your touch grass moments? And how are you dealing with all of the chaos other than just posting about it?
yeah, I'm a parent. I got 3 kids, so I'm playing with my kids and trying to get on their level and just get my head out of like the news sometimes and things like that. I play guitar. I like to play music, so try to jam and like let things flow that way. I like to run. I hated running for 30 plus years. I'm 37 now. I love it. So I'll go for like a 5 mile run almost every night, because that's the only time I get free time and jam, put on music, and just get into my flow state. And yeah, try to get exercise. I used to surf a lot, but it's been really hard to find the time to do that. That's a really time consuming hobby. So I'm not doing that as much as I used to, but yeah,
But you're running 5 miles every night?
almost. I would say it's probably, so I was doing every night and then I was doing every night about 3.5 miles. And then I was like, you know what, I'm gonna see if I can go further. And I've had to take days off to recover from that increase to 5. But I don't know. Like I said, I didn't run for a long time in my life, and I just started it, I don't know, the last 5 or 6 years on and off. And then the past 2 or 3 years, I've been much more like dedicated to it, and I really love it. Like you just get into such a good headspace, and like by the time I'm done with my run, I've got like a bunch of ideas usually. So
That's awesome. I know we're getting close to the end of the hour with our boy Nick. You guys got anything else you want to run by him?
Your last statement here that was like sparked some. So I've been visiting. I've been back in the U.S. for about a week right now, and I was like laughing with my mom. I was like, "Damn, mom, I see why you guys are so stressed. Like, you got MSNBC on 24/7, and like all they're talking about is this." I was like, "Oh, I'm like, take me back." I'm like, I'm gonna go. And then the second thing you mentioned was about the running aspect. Back in Mexico City, I walk a lot. I walk about like 60 miles. I was doing the conversion in my head. I was like, is it kilometers or miles? I walk about 60 miles a week.
Wow.
And just because
Yeah.
if I want to go to this place, I want to go to that place, I walk. And similar to what you shared, it's like I feel like a level of ease. I feel more patient. It's probably something that like I think that's helped me manage the burnout of day to day, because I do think that's been like a hidden problem in our space today. So I love what you were sharing right there earlier.
Yeah, man, I love the way that you touch on that stuff too, because I think you do a great job of bringing. I love all you, everything that you guys put out there. I love, but Zach, I feel like you really bring a lot of awareness to the mental health piece in the sense of like, hey, it's your responsibility to take care of yourself, and like, here's how I deal with it and things like that. Like, I found that extremely motivating, so I appreciate what you're putting out there.
Oh, thank you, thank you. I'm
Yeah.
like, look at that. We could just end the call right now. I'm done.
No, we can't end it. We can't end it. We gotta give out a plug. I gave a little mini plug earlier, since I do know the Noun project. And
Yeah.
do you have anything coming up personally? Do you got anything going on at work? Anything you want to give a shout out and let the rest of our audience know where to check you out and follow along?
Yeah, connect with me on LinkedIn. Definitely, a lot of people, not a lot of people, a handful of people have asked how they can support me. Go check out Noun Project, please. Like, it's a super rad company. If you do anything with marketing or graphic design, product design in the tech space, you probably need icons and photos. So check it out. It's the world's most extensive and diverse collection of icons and photos, and one of the more affordable players in the space too, by the way. So if you're on a tight budget, definitely check us out. Appreciate the love, and thanks so much for having me on, guys. It's been awesome.
Absolutely. It was our pleasure, and a very thoughtful episode of We're Not Marketers. We will catch y'all next time.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to We're Not Marketers. If you liked what you heard, please subscribe, review our podcast, and share this episode with other PMMs. Thanks again, and see you soon.